The Atlanta Braves get a walk-off win over the Phillies last night to take the series, and reinforcements are on the way. Are the Braves back? Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today for Friday, April 11th. Your source of news, notes, and updates on your Atlanta Braves. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. You can follow the show on xbraves_today. We have a Facebook page and an Instagram as well. And you can find all of my written work, bravestoday.com. That's the Braves Today Substack, as this is both a podcast and a newsletter. And there's a lot to get to in today's show. Those of you who spent 5 hours in front of your TVs, the Atlanta Braves took down the Philadelphia Phillies 4-2 in a walk-off win in 11 innings. We're going to break down that game and get to what happened there and the fact they should not have been playing anyway. After that, I want to talk about the injury updates we have. Spencer Strider, Ronald Acuña Jr., as well as the updates on the building up process for Alex Verdugo and Craig Kimbrel. We're going to get to all of that. And then a little brief look at this weekend series against Tampa Bay. But let's talk about this game last night, because Spencer Schwellenbach versus Jesús Luzardo was as advertised, right? And when I did the preview, the written preview on bravestoday.com, which free membership, paid membership, either way, feel free to go out there, support what we're doing over here through doing that. Or for the podcast, leave a 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, whatever Google uses now. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, all that stuff. In the preview, I said that Chris Sale versus Zach Wheeler is obviously the marquee matchup, but Luzardo versus Schwellenbach is a sleeper for the best possible pitching matchup in this series. They were as advertised. Both guys go 6 innings. We'll get to why in a second. Luzardo allows 1 run on 6 hits, walks 1, strikes out 6. Schwellenbach allows 1 run on 7 hits, walks 2, strikes out 5. Schwellenbach's only run, the first run he allowed of the year, was on a home run from Kyle Schwarber in the 3rd inning. I, for one, will be very happy when Kyle Schwarber leaves it. I'm glad that man is out of the city limits, because Kyle Schwarber was just an absolute menace to the Braves this week. He's up for free agency after this year, and the very obvious thing to do is re-sign him for Philly, but part of me hopes they let him walk, because I am tired of this dude just mashing against Atlanta. But both of these pitchers, pitching really well. Luzardo was likely done after the 6th. He was at 98 pitches, 64 for strikes, and again, 1-run game, whereas Schwellenbach was going to be able to come back. He was sitting on only 81 pitches after 6, but rain. There was a rain delay of 2 hours and 44 minutes in this one. And the game finally restarts. It ends after midnight Eastern time. So it ends on the 11th. It starts on the 10th, ends on the 11th. And then, obviously, I went and did a post-game show for Locked On Sports Atlanta afterwards. But let's be clear. This game should have been over way before that. And for a couple reasons, right? One, Atlanta did not have a hit with a runner in scoring position in regulation, right? Only when they went to extra innings did they get some hits with runners in scoring position. But also, this should have been a day game. Both teams had to travel after the game. Atlanta flew to Tampa to take on the Rays starting tonight. According to CJ Nikowski from the broadcast team, they got into their hotels. He got to his hotel room at 4:45 a.m. And the guys got to turn around and be back at the ballpark in 8 or 9 hours to play a game. You'll remember, this happened in 2023 as well. But that one wasn't Atlanta's fault. I'm getting to this in a second. That one wasn't Atlanta's fault. They played on Sunday Night Baseball, I think it was against the Mets. And then they had to fly cross-country to Oakland to take on the A's starting on Monday. No, I'm sorry. It was Philly on Sunday Night Baseball. Then they go out to Oakland to take on the A's. And if I remember this right, They landed at 5 o'clock local time. It was something absurd. Like they were traveling all night to get to Oakland to take on the A's. They lost 2 out of 3 in that series because they were just exhausted and they never really were able to catch up. Michael Soroka got beat around in the first game. Raisel Iglesias blew a lead in the second game. And then Atlanta turned around and won game 3, 4-2. But just in a team that was so good in 2023, and they struggled because of that trip. Now, this flight was not nearly as far. They got in late. They did not get in as late as that one, right? But this game should have been a day game. Because of, one, the weather, right? We knew it was going to rain. We knew all day that it was going to rain at some point in time that night. The game should have been moved up. Or 2, should have just been scheduled as a day game anyway. And it's clear whether it was specifically about this game or early season games in general, somebody with the Atlanta Braves went to the league office and said, hey, while school is in, we want to avoid weekday day games if at all possible. Because if you remember when we did that money show last week on the off day, the gate, right? Baseball event money is the single largest source of revenue for the Atlanta Braves. It's bigger than the Battery. It's bigger than the broadcast deals. It is money from the gate. And so they did not, there's some things that are annoying that the Braves do to maximize the gate. The first thing is they are willing to open the season on the road almost every year so that they can be at home during the summer, during holidays, right? The Braves play a lot of July 4th games at home because they almost always open the season on the road. This was another thing. This decision was made not for baseball reasons, but this decision was made for money reasons. The Atlanta Braves said, we would rather play a night game and get better attendance and more revenue from the fans to play a night game in April and then fly out. And if our players are exhausted the next day and we lose a road game, fine. We're willing to accept that to get more revenue from this game. That is what happened. Let's be clear. So, should never have happened. That game should have been over at 4:30 Eastern time. And the guys on a plane by 6. And they land in Tampa at 7:30. I've made the flight from Atlanta to Tampa a couple times. It's barely more than an hour. It's like an hour and a half. Land at 7:30, in the hotel by 8:30. And a good night of sleep before waking up today to take on the Rays. But somebody in the organization said, no, we want to make more money, and we'll just hope it doesn't have an adverse impact on the baseball team. And that's frustrating. That is absolutely frustrating. But this game finally gets restarted. And Schwellenbach's out. Luzardo's out, obviously. And this is the second game out of 3 in this series where Atlanta's bullpen was fantastic. Aaron Bummer, you put guys on base. You didn't allow any hits, right? Aaron Bummer walks 2. Rafael Montero walks 1. Jose Suarez walks 3. And gives up 1 unearned run, the ghost runner there. But Atlanta does not allow a single hit across 5 relief innings and only 1 unearned run to score. Aaron Bummer gets the 7th. Iñigo de los Santos gets the 8th. Even though we assumed he was down, Raisel Iglesias pitches a 3rd straight day and gets the 9th. Rafael Montero makes his Braves debut in the 10th. 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. The splitter looked filthy. We talked about that yesterday. And then Jose Suarez gets the 11th. Again, walks a run in, but ultimately is still able to keep Philly from getting any more. And then in the bottom half of the inning, Austin Riley gets an RBI double that ties it up. Marcell Ozuna hits his 2nd home run of the year to walk it off for Atlanta. Maybe it was the fact his doppelganger was there, right? The dude dressed up like Marcell Ozuna in the stands. It was a different jersey. It was like a Manny Pena jersey. But he had the jersey, he had the wristbands, he had the pants, the stirrups, everything. Wild game. If it wasn't for the fact that it was so late, I would have said that was just a good game overall. But I was annoyed because I knew that we should not have been playing that late. That should have been done at 4:30. But anyway, Braves won that game. And to me, and I made this point in the postcast last night, to me, this is a reset here, right? You had, obviously, an absolutely dreadful opening road trip. 0-7, obviously. Padres, Dodgers, it all sucked, right? You go 1-1 against Miami. You go 2-1 against Philly. To me, mentally, you started the season. You started the season at home last Friday, and you're now on the season. You're now 3-2. So a little bit of momentum here. Yes, you're still in 5th place. You're 3-9 overall, but this win and the Tuesday win serve as, okay, this team is not as bad as we originally feared that they were. And again, everything's not perfect. They had no hits with runners in scoring position before extra innings. While Nick Allen and Michael Harris did have good sacrifice bunts in the game late, we also saw some pretty bad bunt attempts earlier in the game, right? We also saw Michael Harris swinging at absolute crap. We also saw Matt Olson go 0 for 4, although not for lack of trying. He had a 14-pitch at bat. That's probably the only 0 for 4 I've ever been okay with, right? Sean Murphy 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. That's a little tough. Brian De La Cruz goes 2 for 4. Jared Kelenic checks in the game when it restarts after the rain delay, and there's not a lefty on the mound. Draws a walk. He has 5 walks in the series. Nick Allen even gets a hit from the 9-hole. I don't love the idea of Michael Harris bunting right in front of Nick Allen, but whatever. But the point is, this series served as a reset for Atlanta. And so now let's hope that this is back to the normal Atlanta Braves that we were expecting versus whatever team that was that went 0-7 to start the year. What else is really cool is you're going to get some other Braves joining the team somewhat soon to help. We'll talk about that next, right here on Braves Today. But first, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Chinook Seedery. These are the absolute best sunflower seeds on the market. You guys don't ever see this on the show because I don't eat while I'm doing a podcast, but I always have a bag of sunflower seeds in my office, just all day, every day. If you see me, I'm almost always eating sunflower seeds when you see me. And so that's why I am happy to have partnered Braves Today with Chinook Seedery, because these are the best sunflower seeds on the market. There are 8 different flavors. The original is just a nice balance of salty and sweetness. That's exactly what you're expecting from sunflower seeds. They've got lemon pepper, jalapeno ranch, Parmesan and pepper, hatch chili, dill pickle, cinnamon toast, and smokehouse barbecue. You can buy a sampler pack on ChinookSeedery.com. Free shipping. It has all 8 flavors. Figure out what you like, and then you can go online and either buy a case that has a variety pack, some of everything, or you can build your own case with just the flavors you like. ChinookSeedery.com. If you use promo code BRAVES to do that, you will get 10% off. You will get free shipping on orders over $40, and you'll be supporting the Braves Today podcast. So, ChinookSeedery.com, promo code BRAVES for 10% off. That's ChinookSeedery.com, promo code BRAVES for 10% off. Welcome back to Braves Today. Lindsay Crosby going over, we covered the game last night, but I want to go over some of the news that we got and some of the reinforcements coming for Atlanta. Spencer Strider made another rehab start yesterday for Gwinnett. Spoiler alert, it wasn't bad. 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 2 walks to 13 strikeouts. He had a hard limit of 90 pitches. He got the final batter 1-2. The 90th pitch was fouled off, and then they pulled him from the game. And he was not, I was watching on my phone while I was at Auburn University with the baseball team up there. And Spencer Strider was not happy. Like, he was telling them to stay in the dugout. He wanted to finish the at-bat, and they did not let him. But he still finished, again, 13 strikeouts, 2 walks, 3 hits, 1 run in 5 1/3. Of those hits, one of them was for extra bases. He gave up a double in the first inning. Everything else were singles, right? So he looks pretty good. When you dig into the breakdown, because we have StatCast info for AAA, he was averaging 95.3 on the fastball, which, full disclosure, is not all the way back from where he has been. Last season, again, only 2 starts, so this number's kind of off. The average last year was 96.3. I really don't think we should use that average because that second start, the one he made at home against the Diamondbacks, his velocity was down. His 2023 average fastball velocity was 97.2. So, little bit less velocity. Again, sitting 95. He did touch 97, but he was averaging 95.3 as compared to his last full season when he averaged 97. So, I think we need to have proper expectations because either Spencer Strider was deliberately holding back a little bit against a AAA lineup, which, hey, I totally get that and would not be shocked if he was doing that, or he still has a little bit more to achieve as far as velocity to get all the way back. But despite that, he still got 12 whiffs on the 4-seam fastball. He threw 25 sliders. He got 10 whiffs on the slider, so the fastball-slider combo is still really good. He threw 12% changeup, which is more than he usually does. He had a 7% changeup usage in 23, and then last year, when he had added in, the curveball was at 12%, the changeup was at 4. So he threw more changeups yesterday. He threw 5 curveballs, so 6% usage there. He got 3 whiffs on the changeup, so like the sequencing worked. He got no whiffs on 2 swings on the curveball, but not a huge deal. Most of them were in the zone. Like 4 of the 5 were in the zone. 2 of them were called strikes. 2 of them were fouled off. And then 1 of them was below the zone for a ball. So, not the worst thing in the world. He's throwing all 4 pitches. The velocity is still down a little bit. But Brian Snitker indicated before the game that Strider is exactly where they want him to be. So what's going to happen is they're going to assess him today. The goal is to figure out how he feels today and to see, is he able, if he feels good, you likely can go ahead and plan on bringing him back next week. With the road trip and how everything lines up, your starters are Bryce Elder, AJ Smith-Shawver, and Chris Sale against Tampa. We'll get to that in the third segment. And so you would have Grant Holmes on Monday in Toronto. I do think because Spencer Schwellenbach, his pitch count was in the 80s last night, rather than going 100 pitches or whatever, they can probably bring him back for regular rest on Tuesday, which would mean Spencer Strider could slot into the lineup with 1 extra day of rest and start on the series finale on Wednesday against the Blue Jays. We'll see what happens, but that's my expectation. Snit did not outright say that. He did not say they were going to bring him back, but he indicated that the plan is that was probably the last rehab start for Strider. We also got injury updates on Ronald Acuña Jr., as well as progress updates on Craig Kimbrel and Alex Verdugo. We'll get to those next right here on Braves Today. Final segment of Braves Today, Lindsay Crosby kind of going over what happened with the Atlanta Braves, obviously the game last night, but then some of the updates that we were waiting for about some of these players. And Ronald Acuña Jr. is close to returning. This is April 11th, the date that he gave me, May 2nd, to return for that home series versus the Dodgers, it's just over 3 weeks away, right? He is heading to Los Angeles early next week to get cleared for the last couple steps that he has to do before going on rehab. As a reminder, he's been doing everything but playing outfield and running the bases. He's been in games as the designated hitter, but he doesn't run. These are all obviously extended spring and things like that on backfields. He's not in official games because they can't do that in an official game. But he hits as the DH and then doesn't run the bases. He's doing outfield drills, but he's not playing outfield. So going back to the doctor who did the surgery early next week, the goal is to get him cleared for doing the lateral movement, the side to side. That's what tore his ACL against the Pirates. He was trying to jab step and get back to second base on a pickoff attempt. And then the quick start and stop on running, which you would have to do in the outfield to go play the position. If he gets cleared early next week, when he's able to add those two things in, he can soon after start a rehab assignment. So you can see how the timeline of him wanting to be back by May 2nd can still work, right? If he gets cleared to do some of those things, if he spends a week doing some of those things, he has 2 weeks of a rehab assignment and can come back for that home series. So there you go. We know that Alex Verdugo and James McCann actually are both in AAA right now. They're both playing with the Stripers. I still, with Baldwin being up, he did not play at all in this series. The original plan was to play him in this series, and Snit clarified with how hot that Murphy was, he was going to let Murphy play all 3 games. I do think after seeing the 0-4 for last night with 3 strikeouts, you probably see Drake Baldwin start today in Tampa, or at some point in time this weekend, just to give him at least 1 start and get him in there. I still think there is a possibility, depending on how much they want to use Murphy, there is still a possibility that if they don't want James McCann to opt out, they end up sending Baldwin back down to Gwinnett and bringing Murphy up. I am okay keeping Baldwin at the major league level if he's starting 2 to 3 times a week. I'm not okay keeping him up if he's starting once a week with the occasional second start on a getaway day. He needs to be playing. Now, it should not be an even timeshare. I do think Sean Murphy's defense is incredibly useful and valuable. We saw last night, especially late, how he kept just picking balls and picking balls. The Phillies weren't running as much on Atlanta with Murphy in there as other teams have run against Atlanta this year. So I still think you have to strike a delicate balance, right? But you can't have a whole series go by and Baldwin not play. And if you're going to do that, then before James McCann can opt out, bring him up and let Baldwin play every day in Gwinnett. That's just the smartest thing to do for the organization, is continue to let Baldwin learn from Murphy for a little while, and then when you think that McCann's ready, swap those two. Option Baldwin down to Gwinnett, let McCann come up. McCann can start once a week, and Murphy can handle 4 or 5. Sean respects Murphy maybe is a guy that can rake when he has 5 starts a week. Okay. Other updates we got, Craig Kimbrel. I'm disappointed in this update, for the record. Craig Kimbrel is ramping up in Florida, but he has not yet faced hitters. Okay. He was signed on March 18th. So it's been almost a month that he's been with the team. It's been like 3 weeks now. And he's not yet faced hitters. By contrast, Hector Neris signed with Atlanta during spring. And I think he was in a spring training game the next week. Because Hector Neris was facing live hitters while he was waiting to sign with somebody. And what this tells me is either Craig Kimbrel had some sort of minor issue that was not disclosed, or Craig Kimbrel was not facing hitters and doing enough work before he signed with somebody, which I've seen guys not want to get hurt working on their own. I think Michael Conforto had that situation where he injured his shoulder in off-season workouts, waiting to sign, and didn't get signed for a while. So, I see the flip side, but I hate this update. This is a terrible update, right? Once he starts facing hitters, he'll eventually start working his way through the minors. They'll probably start him at lower levels and let him work all the way up. So he'll pitch for 3 or 4 Braves affiliates before he eventually, James McCann started off in Double-A with the Clingstones. Did Double-A, did Triple-A, and then, then the plan is he's going to come to Atlanta. Craig Kimbrel's going to do something similar. But the fact that he signed 3 weeks ago, and has not yet faced live hitters means he's going through a standard spring timeline, which is disappointing. The likely arrival time, if he's healthy and he's effective, is sometime in May. And that's frustrating because you signed a guy that was clearly not doing the preparations he needed to do to be ready for the season. Unless the Braves are having him overhaul something and we don't know about that. I doubt that they're asking an upper 30s veteran to significantly change who he is as a player. So I'm a little disappointed in this update. I honestly am. I expected more of Craig Kimbrel. I expected him to be doing more about getting ready for the season than he clearly was. Wrapping this up, though. Speaking of Florida, Braves start that series tonight against the Rays, 7:05 from George Steinbrenner Field, a minor league park in Tampa. So what we've seen so far is a lot of offense from both of these minor league parks, right? So both where the Athletics are playing in Sacramento and where the Rays are playing down here. The pitching matchups are... It's going to be tough for these arms, right? Bryce Elder versus Taj Bradley on Friday night. Feels like it's going to be a high-scoring game. AJ Smith-Shawver versus Drew Rasmussen on Saturday. Could be a high-scoring game. Chris Sale versus Shane Baz in the finale on Sunday. Heads up on the times for these as well. These are weirdly timed. 7:05 tonight like normal. Okay. Saturday, 4:10 p.m. So it's earlier in the day. Sunday's a typical Sunday getaway day, 1:40. Okay. So be aware of the times being a little bit different. This has been Braves Today for Friday, April 11th. You're listening on audio. Do us a favor and leave us a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when we drop the next episode. And also, go subscribe, bravestoday.com. We dropped a thing just this morning about all of the different options to put Spencer Strider on the roster next week. Do you option a starter down? Do you DFA a reliever? Do you run with 6 starters? We ran through all of the options on the newsletter this morning. We'll probably go back and cover that when they officially activate him next week. Until next time, this has been Braves Today.